Hey, I'm Brian.
I'm Kaylene.
And today we're going to talk about compost.
Nice.
How to turn this collection of colourful things into this beautiful, rich compost.
Pretty cool.
Look at that.
That is pretty
Does
awesome.
that smell that?
No,
it's good.
It's good.
It's good. It doesn't smell. It's
doesn't
nice.
smell.
It's quite
Very
nice.
nice.
So this is wonderful stuff to be adding to your garden soil, particularly in the veggie garden or anywhere in the garden.
So is it just this that we make that?
Well, no. If we just add vegetable scraps to make our compost, it's going to turn out to be a kind of a wet, sludgy mess.
Yeah, I could
So
imagine.
what we've got to do is have a mixture of what we call wet or green stuff, and then we're going to add some brown or dead stuff. Very highly technical words we're using.
Very
aren't we?
technical.
Yeah. So what's our brown stuff that we're going to be adding here?
Well, this is our wood shavings and chook poo that comes from our chook pen.
They're definitely brown.
Yes,
Yeah, the
definitely
chook poo
brown.
bit, yeah. So wood shavings, we've got chooks, and we put that on the bottom of the chook pen to kind of dry things up to keep them healthy.
Yep.
So we go through and collect that, the bits that have got poo and stuff in it, and we're going to put those into the compost. But you mightn't have chooks at home,
No.
so we've got to have another solution.
Yes.
But you all get junk mail, don't you? And you get bills. Now, this is what I want you to do. After you finish paying the bill, well, you could do it before, but that might get you in trouble.
Yeah.
After you finish paying the bill, I want you to get yourself one of these, a shredder, okay? Shredder. Now, I highly recommend this one here. We don't sell them, unfortunately. It's a Rexel stack and shred. The reason it's good is because you can shred a whole lot of things at once. It's very, very satisfying, and it doesn't make too much noise. So like, I'll give you just a demo. Listen to how quiet this is. It's not working.
Is it plugged in, Brian?
Is it? I don't know. Is it plugged in?
Is it turned
I
on?
want you to imagine that it just went. It's a very quiet noise.
It did work before.
And then we're professional. And then you take this out, and now we have lots of brown stuff. It's not really brown, but it's dead stuff.
It
Like
is.
it's not wet.
Well, it's wood. It used to be wood.
Yeah, that's right.
Just
so
like this.
we add that along with our vegetable scraps, and along with, this is an important part, add some manure in as well. Now we've got the chooks to make it easy, so you might need to buy some manure pellets. So the Amgro Naturals all-purpose would be highly suitable. Why? Because when things are breaking down, they're going to absorb nitrogen. And so if you add some nitrogen-rich fertilizer, which is like the Amgro pellets in there, or manure, chook manure, if you've got farms nearby or horse manure or whatever, you mix that in, it's going to help the compost start to break down a lot easier. How about we open one of these bins and have a look inside and see what's going on?
Great idea. This one?
Yep.
Alrighty.
Oh, look at that. Oh. Now, what we've got in here, this is a very fresh bin.
It is. Lots of things growing in there. Even a
There's a little
spider.
spider in there as well. So what can you put into your compost? What do we put into our compost?
We put everything, as you can see. There's some old bread that had gone moldy, eggshells, veggie scraps.
End of a celery.
Yep.
Yes. There's a rock melon that I bought, but none of us ate.
We didn't chop it up.
Doesn't
You
it
bought
feel
it.
bad when you buy food and you don't eat it? At least I don't feel as guilty if you're going to turn it back into soil and send it back into the garden again.
Yes.
That'll make it easier.
It will.
All right, so we've got a good mixture of things in this bin. And then a good tip to do is we need to aerate the bin so it doesn't become kind of stagnant. And the easiest way to do that is...
With the power planter.
That's right, the wonderful power planter.
Do you want to add some brown to that before we...
Yeah, we could, I think. Let's
Yes.
pour a bit of that in there.
Because the last lot was just all veggies. So.
I want to add my shredded paper in there. So if you work in an office, there's always shredded paper to get.
Well, shall we chuck this in too, or should we leave that for now?
No, we'll leave that for a moment because we've got enough wet stuff in there.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to give this a good mix
Yes.
to aerate it. Do you want to do that?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it. Just check the drill is on slow speed number 1, always.
It is.
And you've got the side handle on there. So off we go and we're going to aerate. All right.
Somebody put some
Oh.
plastic in there.
Yeah.
This is what not to do, people.
Make sure you take the plastic off the vegetables before you put it into the compost bin. Very important.
It is very important.
So what Kaylene's doing is mixing it up together, and she's starting to bring the lower layers of the compost up towards the top. And we would spend a bit more time than that on it, probably spend 2 minutes going over and trying to get down deep and break it all up. And that will really help you to produce that wonderful fine compost like this here. Now it's going to take probably a couple of months for that actually to happen. And another thing you need to do is to add water in as well. Compost doesn't work if it's too dry. Okay, if it's too wet, it doesn't work. If it's too dry, it doesn't work. So when we hear people say my compost smells or whatever, it's because you haven't got enough dry material in there. And then the opposite can happen. It's just very dry. It means they haven't got enough wet material in there. So give it a squirt with the hose, probably each week as well, to water it up. Now what I want to do now is I want to show you another compost bin that's much smaller than this. This one's huge.
It is huge.
Because we have a lot of veggie scraps. We don't eat meat, we're vegetarian, and so we put all of our veggie scraps from the kitchen into the bin. I wouldn't recommend putting meat into the bin because you're only going to attract more kind of rodents and things getting into there. Yep. On that topic, what we do to stop the rodents on these open bottom bins is we put some wire mesh down the bottom, and that stops the rats from crawling up underneath. If you do happen to, everyone has rats, so
we do.
Yeah, it always happen.
Yep.
All right, so let's go and have a look at the little Aussie composter. Now, an alternative that's becoming more popular is to have a compost bin that's buried in the ground. And the whole idea with this is you're putting your vegetable scraps into that, the worms and bugs come from the surrounding soil, munch away on it, then go back out into the soil, do their poos, and it kind of fertilizes the plants around it. Now, we've been selling this one here called the Little Aussie Composter for several years now. And this is great if you haven't got too much compost that you need to do. So the idea is you would have a few of these around your garden. You could put them in your vegetable beds or in your garden beds, and you fill them up and then you move on to the next one and so on. So it has a base like this with all the holes in it so that the bugs and worms can get into there, and it has a lid that goes on the top and locks it in, just like that. And it stops the dogs from getting into it is the main thing of having the lock on there. Now I've got one that's actually installed in this bed here, so we'll come in close and have a look at this. So we're going to unlock this one, we just turn it to the side and then lift the lid out, and we can see inside in here we've got compost happening inside. I'll just dig my hands into that. I should have my gloves on, but you can see how it's broken down that compost really nicely. Now there is another one on the market that is being advertised a lot, and that's called a sub pod. And it's the same kind of idea as this, but it's a larger box that you bury into a garden bed, and then you fill it up with things. So it's basically the same concept, just a bit bigger. So you can decide which one's going to be great for your vegetable garden. For us, this is not practical because it's too small for us. We've got too much vegetable scraps to go into this. But in your place, if you've only got a smaller garden, or if it's only a couple of you, you might find this is great for you. So now what we're going to do is going to get some of that compost that's broken down already. So we're going to go to one of our other bins that's already finished cooking, as we call it, and we're going to take that compost and put it into the garden beds. Now in this veggie patch, which is a bit bigger than most, we've got 6 compost bins running. And so what we do is we place a brick on top of the bin to say that this one is in cooking mode, so don't add any more vegetable scraps to it. Because what you want to do is let it rest. You can aerate it still, but you don't want to keep adding things to it, and it will slowly break down and become less in there.
Yes.
So let's open this one up and have a look inside.
Will do. Nice.
Now inside here, we've got really nicely finished compost that's all ready to go out into the garden, isn't it?
Very, very nice.
Very good. And it's all broken down because we've used the power planter, the long power planter, to aerate it and break it up, which breaks it up into fine pieces. So what we're going to do now is put this compost into one of these big tubs, and we'll take it down to a garden bed that I know needs a bit of refreshing, and we're going to add the compost to it.
We're not using all of it.
Yeah, we are. We are going to be using all of it.
Should we take it off?
Yeah, we
then?
might take it off.
Okay.
So I've just got some pegs holding this bin down. Of course, we've got the wire mesh underneath it to stop the rats from getting up underneath into the bin. Just little wiggle and there we go.
Sandcastle. Memories.
It's like a beautiful birthday cake.
Even got something growing.
And we'll get some of this lovely rich compost. Just a little tip, it still does weigh a bit, so don't fill your bucket up too much.
Yes. Make life easier for yourself.
Yes. All right, do you want to carry that
Thank
one?
you.
And I'll grab one as well. We're going to head down to the bottom of the veggie patch because I know that I've got some beds down there that I've finished growing things in and they've been kind of in a resting mode, and I now want to refresh them, adding the compost to it. We'll just spread it out a bit. And we want to dig it right in to this soil. You can do the honours again. You're doing so well with the power planter. So Kaylene's using the 324 power planter, which is the 60 centimetre long one. It's perfect for this kind of job.
Yes, less spending involved.
Whoops. So if it does start to spiral in too much, just put the drill into reverse and come back out of it again. But generally the action you want to take is more of a dabbing action. So you're letting it go in a little bit and you're lifting and lifting.
Yeah, I moved my foot and then I
You went in too far.
wasn't paying attention.
How easy was that to do? Digging it over.
Easy.
So now this bed, we might maybe just smooth it off a little bit, but really this bed is actually ready for planting.
Yep.
Because we've added some nice compost. The compost's already really broken down, so we don't need to leave it any longer to sit. And I think the plant's going to thrive in here. So what I want you to do at your place is decide what size compost bin or bins that you need. I would recommend that you have extras so that you can have one bin that you're adding things to, and then another one that's maybe partly cooked, and then another one that's finished cooking to be used as well. You might not need 6 big bins, but it'd be great to have a couple of bins at least to be able to follow that process. And you can also get the little Aussie composters on our website. Unfortunately, we can't sell the big compost bins because they're too big to post out to everybody. But check out the little Aussie composters as well. And of course, get yourself a power planter and some of the Amgrow Naturals all-purpose pellets to be able to add some manure into your bin to help it break down as well.
Yep.
All right, so thanks for watching today. Hopefully you feel a lot more confident about making your own compost and really improving your garden soil. See you later.